Here we go. Woo!
Okay, good morning. Good morning to everybody watching Japanese Politics One-on-One this morning, September the 21st. Thank you very much for your patience and apologies for us being 8 minutes late. I hope that you're still there, actually. And for those of you who prefer a little bit later time, I hope this is just the right moment. All right, Timothy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Maya, and sorry for joining so late. This is the first time we've signed on after 8:20, our regular sign-in time. So I apologize for that snafu that we had. But anyway, good morning, everybody, and special thanks to everyone that's joining us today. For those who are new to the show, I aim to breeze through the most important details quickly so that we can zero in on the question and answers at the end. And this is where you can participate. And frankly, that's where the real heat and light gets produced. I'm reporting live from the port of Misaki at the tip of the Yokohama Peninsula, and today we're discussing Japan's high-stakes moment, a weakening yen squeezing exporters, Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru's farewell diplomacy sprint ahead of his mid-October exit, and the Liberal Democratic Party's cutthroat presidential race that's fully locked in right now with all 5 candidates already declared. Fresh polls are tilting towards Koizumi, as kingmakers Fumio Kishida and Taro Aso loom large for the October 4 vote. That's October 4th. Today's the 22nd, so it's right around the corner on a Saturday. Economic data is flashing mixed signals on trade and inflation, and a bold pivot to unrestricted defense exports signaling Tokyo's hardlining geopolitical edge amid China's Latin America outreach, North Korea's saber-rattling, ASEAN fractures, and Poland's border, which just slammed closed with Belarus, which chokes China's European rail artery. That's a really huge issue. It's just developed over the last 2 days. I'll break it all down sector by sector on what's happening and why it matters for Japan's global ties and the economy and the hard implications for all of us. I'll wrap it up with Japan's place in escalating world tensions, from the United States tariff wars to the Indo-Pacific flashpoints, authoritarian axis plays, and the drumroll towards conflict that now is snarling supply chains in real time. Let's dive in, but let me turn it over to Maya first, and then we'll get right into the thick of it.
Okay, thank you. And again, we apologize for the late start today. And thank you for being patient with us. And again, if you are watching now or will be watching later, remember to let us know that you have been there by commenting, also hitting like or subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. This is September the 21st, and we are doing the 241st episode of Japanese Politics One-on-One. All right, Timothy, let's go into the details then.
Great. And just before I get into the closing of the yen on Friday, there is a synopsis that we produced a couple of days after the briefing. It's not as the Q&A doesn't involve the answers to the questions. It lists the questions. But for those of you who are really time bound and just want to find out what the reporting was, pick up the synopsis. You can sign in for it and get it for free. The yen closed on Friday at 147.51 against the US dollar, down 0.2%. When we reported on this last week, it was down again about 0.3 or 4%. So week on week, it's hovering around 2025's average of 148 yen to the dollar, but it's the weakest right now that it's been in over 2 years. This isn't transient volatility, it's structural, fueled by the Bank of Japan's hawkish yet cautious stance and US interest rate differentials, which we've discussed over and over again. For Japan's export machines, we all know that autos, electronics, and machinery are the mainstay. A softer yen boosts competitiveness and padding corporate margins, so the big guys get a boost on that, maybe 5 to 7% on overseas sales. Toyota and Sony are quietly cheering. Third quarter earnings previews show foreign exchange gains offsetting all of the tariff bites and their potential bites. But the flip side, as you know, bites households and importers. Import costs for energy and food are up 15% year on year. This erodes real wages and stoking social friction in an election year. So this echoes broader ASEAN inflation woes elsewhere, which is driven by, food spikes and supply chains, and also the tariffs, which are really compounding the gain. Globally, this weakens Japan's clout in terms of diluted official developed ODA, or foreign direct investment inflows. The amount of influence, as represented in the amount of money in FDA or ODA, is being reduced. Tokyo's war chest shrinks in US dollar terms. So as a consequence, Japan's prowess also diminishes. For US investors and policymakers, it's a buy signal for yen hedged Japan exchange traded funds, ETFs. The Bank of Japan decided that it's going to be selling these. So this is a really a big deal. The money that they've pumped into the economy, they're now going to be releasing back out by selling off the items that they purchased in the ETF. So it's maybe a 10-year project that they just announced. The Nikkei took a big hit as a consequence of that. The Nikkei actually hit a high point, a historic high last week. And now, with the Bank of Japan meeting and the announcement on the ETFs, the Nikkei had a pretty bad day. Intervention is unlikely. Maybe by the end of the year it could happen, but it's not going to happen until the LDP figures out what it's going to do with its presidential election, and then we move into the prime ministerial election. So it's really a kind of a coin toss. We don't know if the election of the LDP president is going to be a fiscal dove like Takaichi, or somebody who wants to put more money into the economy like Koizumi. So it's really everything is up in the air. So people are holding their breath. Let me move on to the prime minister's diplomatic calendar. Well, he announced his resignation on September 7th after his historic LDP election loss, and he will exit by mid-October once the LDP's October 4th vote confirms his successor. Then he'll resign. And this requires parliamentary approval, which will follow very swiftly. So the election vote for the LDP president is October 4th. It'll probably be within 2 weeks or 10 days. So he's in caretaker mode until then, and he's sprinting to cement Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific credentials diplomatically. And once again, as I run through this, just know that within 2 weeks, none of the people that we're talking about, Mr. Ishiba, the foreign minister, the finance minister, they won't be in their seats anymore. And in any event, the prime minister hosted President Mulinov from Panama this week. He inked energy and infrastructure MOUs worth $2 billion, a Pacific pivot to counter China's Belt and Road, and now extending to Venezuela's solidarity against the U.S. bullying in drug raids. So Japan has picked a side there. Ishiba also held a bilateral dinner locking in a 10-year Gulf liquefied natural gas deal with Bahrain, and this hedges 20% of Japan's energy imports. So this is critical for their energy mix, and it drives the economy. Having these kinds of, that's a big deal. 20% of a hedge on LNG. So the Prime Minister will head to New York for the UN General Assembly Summit of the Future. He's going to be pushing AI and climate tech, and inside meetings with the US and European Union and ASEAN leaders, he'll attempt to tackle tariff truces and $210 billion of annual green funding needs that Japan requires. But this will be his swan song. And let me see, there's potentially a visit by President Lee to strengthen bilateral ties with North Korea threats. Let me see, that's, I'm sorry, that's, I misspoke there. Mr. Lee was here just 2 weeks ago. But in October, there's no more further international travel for the Prime Minister. He's going to focus on the handover logistics as soon as he comes back from his UN trip. The cabinet has also been pretty busy. Mr. Takeshi Iwa, the foreign minister, he signed a U.S.-Japan strategic dialogue on September 9th on cyber, supply chain resilience, and co-chaired the Japan Gulf Cooperation Council huddle, securing $15 billion in joint ventures. Defense Minister Gen Nakatani joined Bahrain in an arms tech talks, while Economic Minister Ryohei Akazawa, the tariff minister, he prepped Panama on electric vehicle battery chains. This tag team bolsters Japan's quiet power abroad as LDP infighting risk paralysis and Beijing's Wu's Seoul against U.S. trade bullying. So there's a lot going on there, and Japan is just kind of in a transition. So with regard to what this means for Japan, the moves shore up an energy security drive and U.S. alliances, but the overstretch looms. You know, $50 billion in ODA annually is thin, and there's a lot going on in Myanmar and other places that tell Japan it needs to be bolstering that, the island nations as well. $20 billion plus in deals counter U.S. hawks poaching fears, especially as Trump's tariffs prompt India's China thaw. And for us, greenlight Japan as a stable Australia, United Kingdom, United States, the AUKUS plus partner. So there's a lot of talk going on there that Japan might be invited. It's already in an observer status, but Ishiba's exit risks stalling if the hawkish successor pivots unilaterally or clashes with, Mr. Trump or some of the other trade deals. So getting on to the real meat, the LDP presidential election on October 4th, it's a referendum on scandal-plagued governance post Ishiba's crushing defeat in the summer polls and also the earlier lower house election. You know, he hasn't even been prime minister for a full year, and all candidates have thrown their hats in. It is unlikely that anybody else is going to throw their hat in. Takaichi, Sanae, all people that we know from past elections, Ms. Takaichi, Koizumi Shinjiro, Toshimitsu Motegi, Mr. Hayashi, the chief cabinet secretary, and Takayuki Kobayashi will all run against each other, and everything starts tomorrow. So the race is subdued as it is in Japan. I mean, there's not going to be a huge debate, people throwing coffee cups at each other, no overt clashes. They're all in the same party, so they're trying to come up with a way to coalesce the LDP, which has lost a lot of numbers since Mr. Ishiba became prime minister. So there will be televised debates starting tomorrow. I think there are 5 of them. There'll be a presser on the 23rd, a national press club on the 24th, something in Nagoya, a forum in Nagoya on the 26th, and a policy debate perhaps on the 30th. It is yet to be seen, but the election chairman is Mr. Aisawa, who was mentioned earlier and named by the prime minister to run this whole thing. He is prioritizing bilateral one-offs, and GG Press has showed Koizumi leading at 23%, Takaichi at 21%, Hayashi and Motegi tied at 15%. Kobayashi is trailing but pulling youth votes, probably because of his social media prowess, but a runoff is almost a certainty. So they'll have the first vote, and if one person of the candidates receives 50% of the votes, then everything's finished. But with this many really big names and with the polling numbers that I just gave you, nobody's going to run away with 50%, and there will be a runoff. And the vote mechanics are really critical here. In round 1, as you know, it splits 370 parliamentary votes and 370 rank and file votes. I don't know if this is maybe too deep in the weeds for you, but each contains 50% of the total. And that means that the parliamentarians vote, and then people who are members of the LDP, businessmen and rank and file moms and pops and that sort of thing, but they've paid the entrance fee and they have a card that says that they're a member of the LDP in good standing, they get to vote. But in the second round, it's only the 370 votes of the parliamentarians who are LDP members, and the 47 rank and the rank and file are coalesced into the 47 prefectures. So each of the prefectures gets a vote depending on, well, it's a vote of one, and it's an amalgamation of the LDP members in that particular prefecture that are voting. And it's just to explain it, it's kind of the logistics dictate it. So members, rank and file members, they can vote. They send in their vote days before the Saturday election. So they can go through round one. They can vote for who they like of the candidates. But immediately afterwards, if there's no 50% winner, they move into the second vote. So there's not enough time for all of these millions of LDP members to tender a vote. So it is just relinquished to Diet members and to the 47 prefectures. So it's really, if you're a candidate, what are you going to do about that? You've got the first round. You want to be in first or second place, and so that means that who are you going to get to vote for you? Mr. Ishiba, he's got a certain power. He's got a certain number of people that will vote along the lines that he dictates. But more primarily, it's ex-Prime Minister Mr. Kishida and Aso, who are the real kingmakers here. And so you can see that Mr. Koizumi has been meeting with them, and Ms. Takaichi also met with Aso, former Prime Minister Aso, only 15 minutes just a couple of days ago. But, everybody's got to pay their dues, and they have to kowtow. Mr. Motegi belongs with the Aso faction, so there's that. Mr. Kishida, he has an 80-seat faction remnant, so it's not quite the faction, but I think they're pretty tight. He, of course, backs Mr. Hayashi, who is maybe his number 2 or number 3 inside that faction, and also has maybe 100 votes of sway, and he could crown Motegi or hedge Takaichi for stability. Mr. Suga, of course, supports Mr. Koizumi. You will remember that it was Mr. Suga and Mr. Koizumi who talked with Prime Minister Ishiba on the evening when he decided that he was going to resign. But Mr. Suga's group, it really lacks real cohesion, and it doesn't have the clout of the other, Mr. Kishida or Mr. Aso. So the factions have frayed. There are no real block votes. And the people who have signed up, everybody to become a candidate, you need 20 endorsers. That has been published, so we know who those guys are, and they're going to vote for that candidate. So it's really you can't even say. I mean, a lot of people say, as I go throughout my meetings every day throughout the week, Koizumi is looking good, and it's probably him and Takaichi, but you just never know. It's really hard to say. The round one rank and file favors Koizumi. I give him that. But round two's diet tilt really empowers Kishida and Aso to horse trade, and this really kind of is the place you're going to be watching mostly. You want to know who's going to be in first and second. It's really even too early to tell right now. And you can remember when Mr. Trump debated with Biden, that last debate, it was a disaster, and Mr. Biden froze, and so much turned on that debate. In Japan, there's 5 opportunities for that to happen, but it's not quite a debate, and it's unlikely that somebody will freeze like that. But in this environment, it is possible that somebody like Hayashi can really, in answering a question or responding, or just in his poise, can show how much distinctly different he is from the other candidates. And in particular, I'm thinking of Mr. Koizumi, who has been told even by Mr. Aso, you're a little bit young, kid. You ought to give it a rest. You becoming prime minister, me and Kishida, we were prime ministers, and it was hard enough for us. I don't know if you've got it in you. They had a something I'm paraphrasing, and I'm creating what I think might have been the theme of that conversation. But a lot is going to be revealed to us in the debate part. So moving on to the economy, August trade data offers some relief. There was a deficit of 242 billion yen, which is about $1.66 billion, which was halved from July's 711 billion. So it beats forecast by 514 billion. So for those people who were saying the tariffs are going to kill us, the trade data is beginning to show that it's not quite the case. Although exports dipped 0.1%, not too much. Imports catered at 5% because of the energy glut. But cumulatively, the deficit has hit 4 trillion this year, and it underscores the import reliance of Japan, exacerbated by North Korea's won plunge, which was down 28.6% just this last month. So this signals speculation that China inflows without stabilization within North Korea. The tariff sting of the U.S.-Japan deal. So there are duties on Japan autos. It's 15%. It's set. It's down from the 25% threat, but reciprocity opens agricultural markets wider, and Beijing urges Seoul to counter unilateral bullying in U.S.-South Korean tariff talks. So there's talks going on there too. Automakers like Honda face 5 billion annual hits, and retaliation risks escalation if the U.S. midterms go protectionist, which would prompt China and India outreach. They're getting a little bit closer, a little bit worrying to the United States, and that's a big play there. Importantly, Poland's closed its border with Belarus just this last week, and this adds pain. It freezes China's tremendous trade flow because it goes by rail from China to Europe, and it crosses through Belarus into Poland. And there was some flights of drones by Russia just this last week, maybe 6 days ago, and in retaliation and in reaction to that, Poland took this really drastic action. So a lot is going on. The Bank of Japan's September 19th vote to unwind 80 trillion yen, which is about 537 billion US dollars, is selling about maybe 335 billion yen a year, sparked a Nikkei plunge down 2.5% on Friday. This is a century-long taper. It risks disorderly sell-offs because it is just so massive. Crypto actually dipped as the yen strength fears a ripple effect, and it compounds Japan's 50% visa fee surge. So a lot of people are visiting China, mostly from ASEAN countries, but 15.8 million arrivals just this last year. You think Japan is having tourists? Wow, that's tremendous. So it boosts tourism, but strains trade balances. But something's going well with China, so it's not just a slam dunk for anybody here. The consumer price indexes, as you've probably felt, hit 2.7% year on year this August, and it is above the 2% target, but it really flashes further inflation. Food and energy drive it, and wages still stall at 1.5%. So the pain point in Mr. Koizumi's poll, where he wants to have taxes together with handouts. That's part of his platform. We're going to give you money in addition to cutting taxes. So the economy grows 1.2% perhaps this fiscal year before the closeout, but the ETF unwind kind of adds volatility. It's a new spoon in the mix, and it's something to watch. But it's just come out just this last weekend. So there's a lot more going on. There's a lot going on with Vietnam, and probably for Japan, diversifying suppliers. Mexico, Vietnam is going to be in their key interests. What's going on with politics, with Trump, with the closing of supply chains? It's really worrying. And in light of that, Japan is really poised to generate a new export engine. They just decided this last week. Well, it's based on a recommendation from the Defense Ministry But there has been a shift in unrestricted defense exports. You've seen it with the submarines and with the frigate sales to Australia, drones to Australia as well, and missiles to Philippines. There's been a lot of money exchange there. And it seems like the Defense Ministry panel is urging Japan for 50 trillion, which is about 335 billion US dollars over 5 years, for drone exports, retooling pacifism into proactive contribution. This is a major shift. Japan has Article 9 that prevents it from exporting or producing or having offensive weaponry. But Mitsubishi and Kawasaki are reaping windfalls in some of the sales that are going on right now. It has boosted the GDP 0.3%, and this is a big deal. The expo in Osaka, when all is said and done, that will have boosted, that 6-month project will have boosted Japan's economy 0.2%. So this windfall just by these two companies on defense export, 0.3%, I think it's a signal to the administration, to people who are trying to support Japan's economy, that this export market of Japanese, embedded with Japanese technology and refinement and manufacturing prowess, selling defense armament is going to be the way of the future. So there's a lot more going on. I'd like to get into that, but I don't want to take up too much more time and get us back into the Q&A period. So let me just wrap it up here, go into the Q&A, and pass it over to you, Maya, to see what the audience is curious about.
Okay, thank you, Timothy. And again, if you're watching now or watching us later after the live stream is over, please remember to hit like, subscribe, and follow. Also, please feel free and remember to share these briefings if you think that they might be helpful for family members, friends, acquaintances, and colleagues. And now we're moving to the questions which we received early this morning, and I'm sure that everyone knows who they come from, the very first ones. All right, so Timothy, we got 3 questions from Byron. They came an hour before we started the live stream. So the first one is, are Mr. Hayashi and his advisors running a stealth campaign, waiting for a stalemate between Ms. Takaichi and Mr. Koizumi to happen and then emerge as a consensus candidate between conservative and non-conservative wings of the LDP?
Clever. Yes, that's a great observation. And I think if you polled people who are in the audience now, and we had to make a choice, Mr. Hayashi is looking really good. I don't know about Koizumi. I'm not quite sure about Takaichi, but Mr. Hayashi is solid. Kobayashi is also a good candidate. He's a little bit young, inexperienced, but of all of the candidates, I've got to say, yes, I agree, Byron. Running a stealth campaign, Mr. Kobayashi is very much using social media, and I know Koizumi is doing the same thing. Sanae Takaichi had her opening speech just the other day. It was a 90-minute speech. It was excellently executed, well crafted. So people are putting a lot into this, and yeah, it's going to be a real game. So the fight now is who's going to be in first and second place, and we will figure that out in due course. But I think these debates should be watched, and any snafus, any stumbles, any kind of hiccups will be really played up. So let's see how that goes. But thanks for the question, Byron.
Yes, and once again, you have mentioned this before, that even though Koizumi and also Kobayashi are very active on social media, at the end of the day, it's not the general public that will vote for the presidency of the LDP, right?
Yes.
So
and of that that group of people, I think that they're probably excuse me, less influenced by social media than the regular population.
I think so, and even if they are, probably they're not positively influenced by what is going out on social media. So it's really an interesting thing.
We've talked about this privately, you and me, Maya, but the influence and the impact and the flow and the punch of social media is really beginning to soften a bit. I think all of us are feeling that the hopes and the aspirations generated by social media, people are becoming a little bit jaded.
Yes, there seem to be such a trend here, and we'll see how it develops further. But let me move on to the second question now. Irrespective of who wins the LDP presidency, there will continue to be deep divisions within the LDP and misgivings about how the so-called funds scandal was handled and the failure of reform. What then is the likelihood of a split in the LDP in the next 2 years, since Japanese politics appears to be at an inflection point, with perhaps some conservatives in the LDP moving over to DPFP, Tamaki fearing further losses in the next general election? Where do they stay in the LDP?
That's another very good observation. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's actually likely, but it all depends on who's going to be the new prime minister. So all of the candidates are saying we want to unify, we want to be strong. Nobody's talking about dividing the LDP or splitting up, but it could be depending on who's the prime minister. So, for example, if they don't pick well this time, then there's going to be a general election, or there's going to be more infighting. Let's kick the bum out. He or she's not doing a good job. They're taking us down the wrong path. They've made some mistakes. Let's do it again. Then it could be a fracture. So I think for most people, stability is going to be the key. Let's try and bring the level down. We've lost lots of LDP members. We need to bring that back. We need to have a really well-run government. So a lot remains to be seen. One of the things I like about Koizumi is that he's young and he knows he's got his weaknesses. His father was prime minister, so maybe his cadre, and it does look like he's got a good cadre. He just selected a former finance minister as his election campaign manager, Mr. Kato, and then he's got Mr. Kihara as one of his advisors too, and those are two great individuals, key politicians. So the idea of Mr. Koizumi becoming prime minister, as long as he relies on and delegates, it could be okay. Then there are voices that say, let's have a woman. Whatever we do, let's have a woman prime minister, because then it's going to change things and people will be mispronouncing her name for the next couple of years too. So.
Well, but somehow, first of all, I don't see the LDP splitting really into formal different parties, because as you have mentioned before quite a few times, there is power in working together as a unit. And even though there are still divides, along the lines of the factions, and maybe not only, there is still a lot of power in being the LDP, because that's the party that has been in power the longest. They have the longest experience as well of being in that position, right? So I really doubt that there will be a split, a formal split, so that the party does not exist as the LDP anymore. Even though we may have people who step over, like Mr. Ozawa did, right, in the past. But, we'll see.
One other thing.
Who knows?
The thrust of Byron's question was, what's going to happen? Are we going to still focus on the slush fund, the money that the LDP, the Seiwakai, predominantly we're taking from these Benkyokais and putting them? What's going to happen with that? Is that going to are we going to get to the bottom of it? And the only thing I can say to that is, look what happened with the Unification Church. Push it aside, cover it with lawsuits. Don't talk about it because it's ugly, it's dirty. People were involved with the Unification Church as well. You don't hear hardly anything about that now. And I think people would just as soon forget about this slush fund too. I think enough damage was done. Let's move on. Let's find another fresh scandal, maybe involving the Constitutional Democratic Party or Mr. Tamaki, but let's move on. And I think the Japanese political world is very, very good at doing that. And also Bunshin too. Bunshin is always looking for the next new scandal and the next new politician to have created some kind of faux pas. So it moves very briskly, but yeah, the past and this politically, I think it's been a long time. That slush fund scandal, even though we're suffering from it, I think people are pushing it aside.
Yes, and also there is, sorry, while listening to you, a thought, I had a thought that even if Koizumi-san, basically he's fresh blood, seen as fresh blood, and maybe he's got really a good team behind him, I think that the resistance to him becoming a president of the LDP right now is still too strong to allow him to get to that point.
I agree.
So we don't know. We'll see. Because Mr. Takaichi, you saw what happened to her in the previous election, right? And a similar thing might happen with Koizumi because
in the first round, she was the top winner.
Mm-hmm.
So
Indeed.
Everybody, please continue to watch. Next Sunday we will report, and it will start at 8:20. Not 8:20.
Hopefully,
8 or later. I apologize. Sorry. But yes, there will be a lot to report that next week, and then by the time we have our next briefing, we will know who the LDP president is, and we can make predictions and analysis about what that's going to mean for Japan, for the economy, for a new cabinet. Because once again, selecting the LDP president is not in a vacuum. Whoever's going to win has to pull in one of these coalition parties that they really don't want to join. The Constitutional Democratic Party has already said, no, we're not going to join the LDP under any terms. And so it leaves only Ishin and the Constitutional Democratic Party for the People, Mr. Tamaki's group. They're the only two groups that have enough members to actually make a difference in the upper house and the lower house. But they're playing hardball. They know what their value is. So it's if you're a candidate for LDP president, you have to have the full package. When I become LDP president and you promote me as your candidate for prime minister, we can do it because I have a relationship with Mr. Tamaki and we're friends, and we agreed that should I win, then this is what's going to happen. So
yeah,
let's see.
Okay, yeah, let's see. Question number 3 from Byron. It's become a refrain already. It is, what will happen if my prediction regarding Ishin and LDP coalition actually happens and you are unable to procure Breo cream?
I haven't done the search yet because I'm not convinced, but yes, I will probably be in a position to order that on Amazon because it is still available. It still is on shelves. Yes, and I guess I have to get you a jar of Brill cream, so a little dab will do you. And it is, at this point, I guess it's 50-50. It's too early to even make much more of a prediction than that. Everything is so much up in the air, so I'm not going to order Brill cream yet.
Right, okay, not yet. And even if that moment comes, probably you have to once again go to the United States. All right. Okay, so thank you for that. And now moving on, Frederick says, for the last few years, the yen was volatile. It was trading between 130 and 150. Over the last 2 months, as Timothy points out, it's trading in a range. Is there any evidence that the US dollar to yen is being managed by Japan?
I think it's a certainty. Yes, it's definitely being managed. It has caused concern between Japan and the United States that Japan is managing this and buying yen to bolster it. It has calmed down, so it's raised some concerns, but there's a disparity in the amount of value of the dollar compared to the yen. So it is getting a lot of attention, but the Japanese are saying, hey, we're getting killed, and it's, we survive on exports, and so when the yen is exceptionally high, our products are not selling. But when they sell, even with the value of the yen being a little bit low, like under the 250 range, then the companies do well, and then it's filtering down to the employees and the rest of the economy. That's the theory. I think that's the policy. but yeah, definitely. I mean, it is one of the resources that Japan actually has some control over, and it's got some leverage in. But it doesn't make it easy in negotiating with the United States or some of the other countries, because it's not just the United States, but the United States economy and the Japanese economy are so intimately tied together, and thus the yen dollar. I mean, when you're talking about yen dollar, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the euro or any other exchange. The U.S. dollar just dominates in global trade, and that's where Japan actually has their lifeblood. So, yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion that they're actively engaged in it, but they try and be quiet about it.
Right, and I still wonder why in this situation, some of the candidates for prime minister and of course the LDP presidency are married couples, because the economy seems to be a much more urgent matter, right? And even though some things have been moving, there's still a lot to be done. The tariffs are still damaging auto exports, and the companies here are suffering. And still, some of the candidates are talking about the family, family names of married couples, which is beyond me. Why is
Well,
that?
I think a part of it is due to kind of flip-flopping. So, Mr. Koizumi, you said this earlier about the name changes and about married couples and about gay marriage and stuff like that. But now your stance is, could you please state it one more time? So trying to catch people perhaps in a gotcha moment, or to show that they're holding a position. They don't really hold it. They only hold it because it's going to get them more votes. But now, please look at the camera and tell us what your position is, and if you become prime minister or party president, what your policy will be potentially as prime minister. I think that's part of it. But the other thing too is like regional revitalization and defense spending, that sort of thing. A lot of these, it's not like a dog whistle, but it's telling Mr. Ishiba, I'm going to support your issues too. I'm espousing them as, I'm supporting regional revitalization and disaster management, these pet peeves of Mr. Ishiba, because he does have a certain block. He was getting increasingly popular after the upper house election. The LDP lost the upper house election, and a lot of people were throwing mud at him, but he was also gaining respectability as prime minister after that. His numbers started coming up. There are a lot of people that really like him, don't want him to stop being prime minister, and I think that was one of the tensions that he had, one of the conflicts in his mind. I have people that believe in me, that want me to continue my policies, but now I've got a lot of people, and we had this conversation last week. Was it a coup? Was it a kind of a soft coup that was pulled? And yeah, I don't think it was at that level, but yeah, I think yeah, a lot of reasons. But actually, he really did look exhausted these last 3 months as prime minister. So that probably had something to do with it. But he's a stubborn guy, as most of these people generally tend to be. But he is famously stubborn. But he did finally decide that for the good of the LDP, he was going to resign. So it could be,
Right.
it could be this thing that we just tumble down, we tumble down, we tumble down. We never get back. The LDP never gets back its wind. But this election period is really a drive, a dream, a vision to recalibrate the LDP. And even Miss Takaichi, she's on the far right side. Even she has said, for the sake of keeping unity, I'm going to do things a certain way. I'm not going to be so acerbic. I'm not going to be so pointed. I'm not going to be pointing my finger. She's done a great role in recreating her image. There was a couple of pieces on her recreating herself, and her speech just the other day was along those lines. But previously, people said, I like her, but she just seemed scary. Her visual countenance, it feels like she's, once she's in power, you're going to have to really deal with that now. So I think she's softening that up. She still has a good run. She's not. You can't discount her. You can't discount anybody. And I think it's going to be very interesting these next 2 weeks.
Yes, they are. I believe so. And of course, Mr. Ishiba, even after he steps down, he's still continuing. He's going to continue to be in the diet, of course, and he will be a member of the LDP. So, do you expect him to once again, gain after stepping down, gain more influence?
You know, that's
on what
interesting. It's a great
happens?
question because in Japanese politics, and I think elsewhere too, you can say Barack Obama and Clinton and maybe George Herbert Bush. Yes, once they finish being in that position of power, they've got a cabinet to report to, they've got the press on them, everybody knows what they're doing every day. When they finish and they transition to be just who they regularly were, their power actually increases. And that's one of the signatures of Japanese politics. A prime minister, after even Mr. Suga, I think he probably had a stroke or something. He doesn't seem as vibrant, as vital as he once was, but he does have a following. He was prime minister, and so there are a lot of people that believe in him and coalesce around him, like Mr. Koizumi. They're both from Kanagawa. Actually, I'm on the tip of the Yokohama Peninsula in a port called Misaki. It's the last place when the tip of the peninsula. And this is Mr. Koizumi's election district. So there are campaign posters of him in this port here. But Mr. Suga is also from Kanagawa. So they do have some sort of an affinity. But definitely Mr. Ishiba, yeah, I think he's going to be a powerhouse. It happened with Kishida, it happened with Aso, certainly. Less so with Mr. Suga, though, but I think that's just because of medical reasons. But yeah, he's not going away. He's still going to be active in Japanese politics. And if a couple of his predictions come true, you didn't select the guy that I wanted. Now you have to suffer through this prime minister, and those predictions turn out to be true. He could be a real future-telling former prime minister that his power just increases because he says pithy things and he kind of makes the economy go forward. Let's see.
Right, and Patricia, thank you very much for letting us know. The sound is pretty bad. I see that you are on YouTube, and I wonder whether other listeners on YouTube have the same issues, because the sound on my side is clear, and there is no delay actually. So I wonder why that could be.
Yeah. So Maya, you advised me on this furball microphone. It does cut down a lot of the wind. It cuts down a lot of the noise. I do have a big freighter that's been running its engine for the last 24 hours. Maybe that's the hum that you're getting, but otherwise, there's not any ambient noise that's going on. So I apologize. We need to work on that.
Right. Okay. And then another thing, and we have a comment and a question from Manabe-san saying, we need one more woman to run as a candidate. Why don't do that?
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a couple of women who would be good, and it just, whether, running in the election, Kono Taro decided not to. Okay, running an election is promotional. It's huge. You get lots of advertisement. People are looking at you. They know who you are. They know what you stand for. It's a great source of potential political windfall later. Maybe you'll even become a member of the cabinet as a consequence of that, because you're in the same party, right? So it is good to be a candidate. I think what the LDP wanted is they didn't want to have the same circus, 9 people or 10 people, as they did last time. And the candidates that we have now, they're known commodities. They've run twice now, some of them 3 times. So I think they wanted it to be as quick and as easy as possible. Don't confuse it. And we already know who we want to be prime minister, so let's limit it to this. I mean, that's something that's handled by the election commission, Mr. Aizawa. But yeah, everybody would like to see a little bit more diversity. and there are capable women that could do that. But I think there's something greater in the background that's dictating that.
Right. Okay. So I'm just checking now the stream settings in YouTube. It seems that they are the same as last time. So, okay, if this is the case, then I also wonder how last week's sound was. If you can help me with this, maybe I can tweak some of the settings later on for future, future live streams. And yes, okay, so yeah, with women, we haven't heard anything from, of course, other women willing to be on the list of candidates. And I'm sure that a lot of names might come up when people think about women. And of course, one of the first names that come up is Koike-san. But for her, I mean, there is absolutely no chance to basically, and she's not willing to go back to the LDP,
Yeah,
right? So yes, if she plays a role, it will be eventually in a general election. So
I
I
don't
mean,
see it.
not as a candidate. What I mean is as her backing a
Yeah.
candidate from a different party,
Oh, she's
right?
huge. She's absolutely huge.
Yes. All right. And then also, I think that for this moment, at this point of time, we have actually gone through the questions and the comments on LinkedIn, also YouTube, and yes, in Clubhouse as well. So again,
Can I say one more thing related
yes,
to the earlier question about why isn't
yes,
a woman running? Couldn't we have
yes,
more
please,
candidates?
yes. Hmm.
So they've published the people who endorsed the various candidates. So your name goes on a list, and you say, "I endorse Mr. Kobayashi to become LDP president." So if that person wins, then you're one of the first endorsers. So you're going to get a cushy committee post. Something good is going to happen to you. But if you're not, things are not going to go your way, right? And if you have 9 candidates and 20 endorsers for each of those, that gamble is very high. Am I going to be on the right team? If there are 9 people, that's really a dilution of my possibility unless I pick well. If I pick well, then yeah, I could have a cabinet post even. But I think the keeping it short, and you might remember the last time we did this with 9, just these pressers, these press briefings, and of the 5 that are scheduled. We've been here before. It's so hard for people to actually say something, distinguish themselves. They in fact had to make the election period a little bit longer the last time. So I think the results taught the LDP that the public doesn't have that much of a temperament for it. Make it shorter, make the candidates a little bit easier to select, and let's get this show on the road so that we can get back to business. Japan has been in sleeping mode for the last 3 months, and they just need to spring out of it, which also means that the person they select is going to be really engaged geopolitically and diplomatically. So once again, that Hayashi ranks really high on my list, but let's wait and see. I don't
Let's
have a
wait
vote.
and see. No, I don't have a vote, but I don't see Mr. Koizumi either there. And after seeing what happened in the last elections with Ms. Takaichi, so it's difficult to believe that she'll get enough supporters to become PM again. But we don't know. As you say, Japanese politics is always an exciting game.
It really
And
is.
until things happen, we can only guess. And quite often well, just have to wait and see. Okay, thank you for this. And yes, thank you very much, Rick, for letting me know. Okay, I'll see how, if there is any way to tweak the settings, the volume settings and the
Your
sound
voice went
settings in
down.
YouTube. My voice went down?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know oh, what the reason for that is. Okay, we can work on this once we sign off. And then for today, Timothy, thank you for the briefing. And to everybody who stayed with us, thank you very much indeed for your engagement. Thank you for coming here. It's Sunday morning, 8:20. It's very easy. Today we gave you 8 minutes more, and I apologize for this again. Yes, we'll be here once again next Sunday at age 20. Prepare your questions, prepare your comments, follow the developments in Japanese politics, and let us know if you have any questions and share your thoughts with us. Yes, Timothy.
The LDP presidential race kicks off tomorrow. There will be a press release and opportunity for you to listen to the candidates. Tuesday is a national holiday. It's sports day. And Maya, since you have a young daughter, I'm sure you'll be the boat right behind me is leaving. It's a 34-foot
All right.
Hunter.
Yeah.
It's got 10 sailors on it.
Oh, okay, that's a party.
A little
Yes.
bit crowded.
Yes.
But
Okay.
sports day is on Tuesday. Don't forget. I'm sure you won't.
I
National
will.
holiday.
National holiday. I was not aware of that. Okay.
Aren't you glad you joined the show?
Very much so, yes. All right. Thank you. And well, you take care and do not get off
Do not
board.
feed the sharks. Right.
Don't feed the sharks, yes. Okay, see you next time and enjoy the Sunday afternoon, the morning as well, and also have a bright new week. We'll be with you again on Sunday next week.
Thanks, Maya. Thanks,
Thank